Two friends, different worlds, aligned anyway.
What if you didn't have to lose your creativity?
What if you buried it beneath responsibility, perfectionism, and the fear of being seen trying?
What if that relentlessness inside you isn't proof that you're lost?
What if it's the part of you that still wants to create, begging you to come back?
Tonight, we're going to be talking about why we went quiet, what called us back, and the courage it takes to create something meaningful before anyone else gives you their permission.
Because creativity isn't a luxury, it's part of who we are.
I am Josh,
I'm Tiffany.
and
We're aligned anyway.
welcome. Now, for those of you that have been listening, it's been a minute since we've been back. Welcome to Aligned Anyway. You're in for a wild ride. We get crazy. We talk emotion. We get deep. Sometimes it's dark. Sometimes it's light. Sometimes it's a little bit of both. And we're going to talk about that tonight. Tiffany, how you been?
You know, there was something that you said. Sometimes we can get a little bit too deep when you're putting so much in emotionally. You know, things can go from deep to dark really quick, and those lines get kind of blurred. So it's good to know when to step back. And so, you know, what I've been doing is stepping back and allowing myself to feel my feelings, but also really seeking out help, professional help, to be able to see the joy in the everyday moments. You know, we talk a lot about how the world can be and how that can get us down. I'm now at a place where I am starting to see the light. You know, I'm sitting on the other side of the train. I'm not seeing ugly gray brick walls that I can't break through, but I'm seeing the sun and the grass and the flowers on the trees and how they bloom. And I'm listening to the birds and I'm listening to the water fountain. I really had to figure out how to make peace intentional. How I'm doing is subjective depending on the day. I am choosing to be great. I'm great, Josh. How are you?
You know, there's not just like one simple answer on the line anyway. We got to give it a little depth, right? Like we can't just say great and what else is new with you. No, I'm really glad that you were vulnerable enough to share that. So before I even get into what I'm doing, you know, sometimes getting into the dark means getting under the covers a little bit, getting a little cozy while you're in the dark, and then realizing that you still have to open the shades. And once you open those shades, you realize there's sunshine coming through. And I think that's the phase you're probably in right now, is the dark has now been opened. The light is now peeking through. You're able to open the window, smell some fresh air, get out there, get you back, and in a way that's really exciting and new and fresh and invigorated. And I'm so excited for that for you.
Oh, thank you. And, you know, I appreciate you going with me through this roller coaster ride. I guess, you know, I should probably share more of what's going on with me because a lot has changed, and look how quickly we forget, right?
I was gonna say, you got more to talk about before we get to me. So let's
I know. It's been such a whirlwind, but surprise everybody, watchers and listeners, I got married last week, actually, in Safety Harbor, Florida.
Yeah, you did.
And I say the roller coaster because, you know what, we were supposed to be getting married in October. I think I shared that with everyone, but, you know, really just wanted to say why wait. And I was getting like stressed out with the idea of like planning and what all goes into that and inviting and all these things. And I was like, you know, I really just want like us. Like I want it to be us. I want it to be our bubble. I want it to be intimate and meaningful and like, you know, our word of that weekend or week, because it was a Wednesday that we got married, you guys. So that week was do it for the plot. So let's tell everyone kind of how this happened.
Please.
So we, you know, had to go to Florida to handle some things, and it was like a last minute thing, and then we're going to turn around and come back. So we're going to like last minute tell Josh, hey, Josh, can we come crash with you? So that's the goal. That's what we're going to do. And then next thing I know, I'm like, literally, guys, I'm in my Harry Potter Gryffindor sweatshirt and some sweatpants. And we're like, hey, do you think we could get married in Florida? Like, this is where we met. This park, like we got married in Felipe Park in Safety Harbor, which was like just a really meaningful and special park to me. It's beautiful, but it's where I had my photo shoot when I lost my first 100 pounds. It's also where I did my sister's graduation photos, and it is where I was in a commercial for one of the clients that I had met. She does like a holistic health for people, like online coaching, and so I was in a commercial and it was there. So
Oh,
like a
cool.
lot of these like major things kind of happen at the park, and you know me, I like the woo woo and the signs and like, oh, this is aligning, right. So that was kind of part of my journey, is really leaning into my intuition and what energy is telling me and what makes sense. And, you know, I got you on the phone and you're like on board. Let's go on this roller coaster ride. Dylan is like, our friend is crazy. What is going on? What the fuck do you mean? They're spending the night randomly and then now they're getting married and then now they're not spending the night. I mean, I can only imagine. And I know my friend Mo and her wife Elena were there, who's also a really amazing friend of ours. And they were like, and literally Elena told Mo, she's like, what the fuck? Both of y'all are nuts. Both of y'all. Because I had asked Mo, like, do you know anyone who's ordained? And she's like, no, but I can get it done in 20 minutes. What's up? Like, so on board, no judgment, no nothing. Just was like, yes, let's do this. And she married us, and it was perfect because, you know, she was the first friend to talk to Don. She talked to him before I even met him in person. We had all talked on the phone. And, you know, she, in her, I don't know what it's called, but I guess her speech when she was marrying us, I don't know what that's called, but she had mentioned how I very blankly told her when we first met that I had a feeling I was about to meet my husband, and I just knew. And she was like, she said it with the utmost level of seriousness. And I was on a mission. Like when I was dating, it was just like, if I liked you, okay, let me see. But I was very clear on like, if I liked you or not, it was a no. Then I was like, no, move on. You're not my husband. Bye. Next. And I really just like, we picked each other energetically. And it was like, I knew this person was for me. This person has the level of patience that's needed for me to be me and to be fully accepted. And he was just the calm to my storm. And so we had a beautiful ceremony. Josh and Dylan were present, and Elena and Mo were present, and that was it. And we had a beautiful ceremony right at sunset with the willow trees coming down, and we ran all around town in St. Pete, me and Mo, we went to Michael's to make my bouquet, which was wisteria and lavender. So the fairy vibes, I was giving, she was a fairy kind of vibe. We thrifted my dress, even though I do have a dress, which I will be wearing because we're having a wedding next year. But it was just like the whole day was fun and exciting and exactly how I want to feel when I am making a commitment to someone for the rest of my life. I want to feel that fun and excitement in the midst of a regular, mundane, everyday Wednesday.
Okay. So, audience, now it's my turn to tell you my side of the story because I
There
get the
are
phone.
6 perspectives, or
Woo.
yeah, 6.
So I'm, minding my own business, sitting my ass at home. Just got the phone with Tiffany about 2 hours prior to this conversation. It was like, I don't know, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, maybe even a little later, if I'm being honest. I don't remember. But
It's like 12 a.m.
Yeah, something. It was pretty close to midnight, if not the next day. Well, that is the next day. Anywho, moving on. You were like, hey, you care for Crash? We have to come down there for last minute errand real quick. And I was like, yeah, no problem. Whatever, Then you're like, okay, cool. See ya. Like, we're leaving in like an hour. I'm like, but you're in North Carolina. You're like, yeah, I'll be there at like noon tomorrow. Okay, see you soon. Gotta go. Love you. Bye. I'm like, oh, okay. All right. So I'm on my way to work the next morning. It's about 8 a.m. She's already, of course, on the road. And she's like, wouldn't it just be like crazy if after our errands, like Don and I just like got married? And I'm like, yeah, that would be pretty fucking crazy. And she's like, I know, but like something about that's just like sexy, like, spontaneous, unexpected, the whimsical moment. And I was like, look, if you're dead ass about this, like, we'll make it happen. You know, we were trying to find the ordain. I had a friend, you know, Renee, but she wasn't able to do it. And I was like, fuck, she's not available. I'll just quickly do it. You're like, oh shit, I already got one on the back burner ready to go. And then we got Mo ready to do it. So everyone was getting ordained for Tiffany up in this bitch, ready to make sure that she was going to get married. If somebody got an emergency, there was a backup. You know, we had it all figured out, right? And like a 6-hour notice. So then I'm at work. Tiffany and I are trying to plan back and forth and come up with park closing times and locations. And it was like 6 different locations at one point. But then we went back to Philippi Park, which was the original plan, but not really a plan, but because it was last minute anyway. And then it was, you know, so it was like, but we're gonna make it. And then we get there, and then we like almost missed sunset because you lost track of time. And I'm like, girl, we got to go. It's 8:08. You need to get your ass married. I was like the wedding planner. I was like, I gotta keep her on. I gotta keep her on track, or else she's gonna regret this.
Guys, I didn't even get to do my hair.
I was like, what is happening? We got to get your ass on the road. We got to get you married. And we did. We got there, and because they closed the park, there was usually cops at the gate. And we get in there before it happened. There was some random person got to watch the wedding happen. There was like 2 cars full of people
First
getting
of all,
out.
he should have left.
He should have. It was kind of awkward. Like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Just sitting like a damn creep. But then we get there, and the only thing that was hard to deal with about your wedding was the fucking bugs.
The bugs.
Dude, the bugs.
Did you see when I was like doing my vows, I was like hitting my leg. I was like, okay. And then finally I was like, dang, these vows are long. And I'm like, why am I so long-winded? That's what I'm thinking. I'm like thinking like, why am I so long-winded? And I'm like, oh, okay, we gotta go. I was like, all right, love you, mean it. Love you, baby. We've been together so long. You know, I already feel like I've been married to him, right? Like I already like committed myself. So I'm like, all right, let's do this. I'm ready. I do. Let's go. Wow. Very, very very bipolar of me, you know, like just by definition, right? But I said this, I was talking to my mom about this on the way home, and she was like, honestly, I think this is like, and I've said this to you guys before, but like, I think this might be my superpower. And I've made some of the best decisions of my life that dramatically changed my life for the better impulsively, because I would have fearfully talked myself out of it. I would have not taken a chance, and then I never would have moved to Florida, and I never would have met the friends that I met and had the career that I've had the opportunity to have, and really grow within myself as a person by putting myself out there and networking and doing these things and meeting Don, you know. So I just think that when I feel it and I do it, that's when magic happens.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that like while I'm going through this situation, trying to get regulated on my meds and just get to a better place where maybe I'm not so irritable or my lows aren't so low, or bipolar rage isn't an issue, because that's a real fucking thing. You know what I mean? But that pocket of joy that day filled me up and, you know, made me feel alive, and there was no regret and there was no hesitation. And so that's where I'm like, oh no, I'm good. I know what I'm doing, and this is what I want.
Yeah.
And, you know, you and Dylan and Mo and Elena are just along for this crazy ass ride of mine. Crazy town. But, you know.
And I know that if you guys move back here one day, you will. But if you move back here, I'm sorry, when you move back here, you know, Mo,
I'm moving back to Florida.
Mo, you hear this? You back me up here. You know, it's just something we manifest often, you know, like often. But anyway, we digress. Mo is awesome. We love Mo and Elena. When we were leaving, they looked at us, Dylan and I, and they were like, we don't have any gays. And I was like, well, we have lesbians, but they're in Michigan. She was like, but they're not local. I was like, touche, they're not. And she was like, we should hang out. I was like, you're so right, we should. Haven't done it yet, but we will.
I mean, that was only last week.
Right. So, you know, it feels like forever ago. But
I know. It feels like time is like we're in a time warp or a time loop or something. But I'm so glad that you guys connect. I totally, like in high school, used to be that friend that did not want my friends to be friends with my friends because I was jealous and I was like, don't leave me out. And I was so like insecure. But now I'm just at a place where I'm like, oh my God, yay, my friends are together. We can all hang out together. And
that's what I mean.
Like we can have our friend group. And I just am like, yes, I'm so happy that, you know, you guys can connect and you can have someone local that you can go out with and things like that. And I'm sure you guys will FaceTime me and it'll be like I'm there because, I mean, not for nothing, we have seen each other quite a bit this year. So we've been doing pretty good in the long distance friend department.
Yeah, I mean, we do see each other at least virtually weekly, and we text pretty much every day, and we talk pretty much every other day, sometimes every 3 days. But that's about the length we go
Yeah.
before we're like, "Oh, hey, girl,
Sometimes
what's up?"
every 3 days.
Yeah, it just depends on what's happening in life, you know?
Right. Exactly.
I think that like this space away from kind of everything has allowed me, at least personally, to kind of be okay with tapping into my mania and not really feeling guilty about it. Because that's something I've always felt guilty about was, you know, these rash decisions I made that I always find that I had justification for them. Like, for example, I didn't realize until I started getting diagnosed that me moving to Florida, I mean, I figured it out in a week that I wanted to be here. And then I got an apartment, told my boss I wanted to transfer. He laughed in my face. I said, no, I've already applied and I have an interview tomorrow. He's like, shit. And then I got it and they wanted me. And I was like, I got a good bonus that year. And I was like, yeah, let's go. I got this. My grandma lived in Tarpon Springs. I had a reason to come down here and take care of her because she had no other family here. And that's what I did. And it just took me here to all these other places. So yeah, it leads back to Florida for me too. But that, looking back, was my manic state. Like, obviously, I didn't know what that was. I just thought I was
Oh,
a spontaneous
100%.
being. I just thought I was a spontaneous individual. And then
And
now
you
that I'm
might
looking,
be, though.
I am. I
Yeah.
100% am, and that's just something that I can understand better. But I also have been taking the time to, since I'm understanding it, to be okay with like trying things that would normally be considered manic, right? Like, for example, I'm starting to write a book. I'm starting a 4-book novel series. Just one day, I've been thinking about something for years and haven't really had the courage or really the audacity to even think I can try it. I was sitting on the couch and I was watching the news, and someone came on and they were like, you know, I think it was a little kid that was getting adopted, or he was trying to get adopted, and he was asking for someone to take him and make him his permanent family. And I was bawling, and I was like, holy shit. Like, and he was a Superman fanatic. He loved Spider-Man. He was talking about all these things that made him happy. And it was all these things that he could pour his mind into somewhere else. And I thought back to that moment of like little me, you know, going into all these childhood traumas and going, this is what made me feel safe. This is what gave me a reason to continue and to be okay with being a little nerd when that doesn't seem to be okay around society per se. You're weird if you're a nerd. You're different. It's not cool. And you're bullied and picked on ultimately, which I was. But now I'm looking at this as like, wow, like, okay, so what if it's manic? Well, so what if I'm being manic as fuck? And I've never been an author per se. Like, I used to write poetry when I was in the grade school, but I never really,
Holding that back. I didn't know that.
yeah. It's because I wasn't, in my opinion, good. So I didn't really consider myself a poet. Even it was just like young kid rhyming, getting emotions out like a journal kind of thing.
Mhm.
But then I stopped it because I don't know. I just didn't feel connected to it in the way that I should. And now that I'm looking back, I'm like, well, maybe it was just poetry itself because I now have the ability to express my feelings. I don't need poetry the way I did as a kid. But now I'm able to express myself through actual words and ideas that I don't give a fuck if anyone agrees or thinks it's cool or not. And I'm going to take that into symbolism in my life, make it completely opposite of who I am as an individual and live through that part of me that could have been. You know, like the character I'm creating is a straight man who's going through grief, who's going through death, and he has to live through the grief of trying to piece his life back together when he is absolutely completely broken and near the end of his life because he's so into alcohol.
On. So make sure you want to clarify. So what he's talking about are the characters in his book.
Correct.
Because you didn't share what you were working on, your project. So tell everybody what it is that you're working on with being an author and everything like that.
All right. Well, I was trying to keep a little bit close to the chest, but I will
Well, you
expose.
shared, so I was like, you gotta have a,
So
you
I
know.
will. Okay, fine. I'm writing a book saga about this character named Xander who is going through grief. He was a comic book author. He was successful. He was happy. He was fit. He was all the things you'd want. He lives in Florida. He's rich. He's known. He's liked. Then he has trauma. His wife has trauma. They can't work through it. She has depression. She can't make it work. So she decides ultimately that she no longer wanted to be here. And he blames himself, but he also is angry at her. He feels abandoned, but he also feels guilty. And then he ends up becoming an alcoholic. And then he ends up having this weird, like, almost death experience where he put himself in an alcohol induced coma. He wakes up in this like weird sedative place. Next thing you know, it's this other realm, other world. I wanted to relate to that part of me but through a character. The duality of it all, like we talk duality a lot, you and I, and that's kind of where I got the idea, truthfully, was like living through the duality piece and understanding that there is two sides. There is two pieces to everything. This other piece is this other world, this other symbolistic part of who I am. And I'm really just excited to keep it going.
You know, it reminds me of like Charmed, like in witchcraft, because what I'm working on is witchcraft, and a lot of what we are or what's taught in that is that there's a light and a dark, right? But that's not just in, you know, in witchcraft and Wicca and fantasy books and things like that. Like, but that's in the Bible, right? We all have light and dark in us, and we have to accept and embrace both sides, and we have to see both sides. But you know, I'm in a phase right now where it's like I want to wear my little rose-colored glasses and I want to chill, right? In my duality, two things can be true type thing, really, and open that mindset and not have it be this like clear delineation, like, you know, this is perfect, this isn't perfect. This is, you know what I mean? So I love that book because it's something that really makes you think. This is like, it's giving like Hunger Games, Divergent, things
Yes.
like that. Like I
I'm glad you said
love
that.
stories like that, you know?
Thank
That's
you.
a
That's a
good vibe.
yeah. We find out that he's a vulnerable, but you have to be able to earn a resolution. This
Right.
character hopefully will get through that story to find it. We don't know. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. Maybe there's a twist here, there, everywhere. Maybe there's not. We don't know. Stay tuned.
That it's a lot of moral backing and it's like strategic thinking. Like, why did someone make the decision that they make? And how does that impact their next move and impact their end result? I love that type of arc for a character and when someone can fully explain that. So I'm just really excited that you are tapping into your creative side because it's such, what's the word? Contagious energy, right? Because that's like passed on to me. But I wanted to know, like, a lot of the times when we go through these creative things, the first thing that we kind of go through is the drift, right? Like we drift away from it and then we kind of come back to it. Then we're fearful of sharing it and then we drift away again. And it's just this repetitive cycle. So when did you realize that you had stopped creating?
That's a hard one. You know, I think after Humor Haunts and Homicide failed, that was my first moment of like, oh God, like you worked so hard on this thing that you didn't even know you could do. I mean, I literally did another manic thing before I realized I was bipolar. One day I was, you know, taking a pause. I was on vacation and I was like, you know what? Like I could do something with my time. I don't really have anything going on. I've always wanted to be a podcast host. And I was like, I'm going to teach myself some shit. So I spent, 2 weeks building a website, building a podcast, building an idea, a structure, researching everything, taking courses, LinkedIn things, just different training seminars, paying for things, like trying to figure out marketing, Facebook groups, you name it. Like podcasting, everybody, is not easy. It's not getting on a camera, turning on a button and start talking. There's more. There's planning, there's time, there's editing, there's diligency, there's delicacy, and there is emotional aspects to this, like talking about deepness and darkness and emotions, like that shit gets emotionally and body and physically wearing. So there's podcast takes a lot of time, but I was ready for it. And then when it stopped happening because Renee couldn't do it anymore, and then I brought Christian and Stacy and Dylan into it, and they just didn't have the capacity. Stacy was getting her bachelor's degree and working a full-time job coming up, and Christian, her wife, was taking care of her 80-year-old mom who was sick. So it just like never could really materialize into something. And then I stopped for, I don't know, almost a year. And I was like, I just don't know. And then you and I were talking about it again. And I was like, look, I really would only do this if we continue doing it, because that is so precious to me. And I like give myself the confidence to get back into something and then to give it up again. So I was like, this is so dear to me. And then that's when I realized, like, I let shit go that means something to me. Or I'm fearful that I could actually make it work if I put the time and energy and consistency into it. Because when I'm focused and I'm gung-ho, I'm great, I'm amazing, I'm powerful, nobody could stop me. And the second I get a little sprinkle of self-doubt, I crumble. and I start thinking like, ugh, I can't do this. Nobody would like this. Is anyone going to support me? Is this just me being insane? Because there's times where I tell people about like even my book, for example, and I've gotten some good reviews on the idea, and people are like, I love this. Keep going. This is great. But then I've gotten looks like, oh, since when did you want to write? Or like, when I didn't know you wrote. Like, does it matter? Did I need to be a writer at one point to now have the credibility to do so? Because I thought back then, if that were true, I would have had to start somewhere.
And you would have already had a book. I don't like, people write all the time. It's kind of a very like common thing, like an escape for people to do. But, you know, you're always going to have the haters and the naysayers and people who are just jealous that they don't have the courage to take a chance and give themselves the opportunity to possibly fail. And I just wanted to also add that Humor Haunted Homicide did not fail because you didn't fully give it the chance to fail. Just because you stopped doesn't mean you failed, because you didn't fail. It just morphed into something else because you're still podcasting. So therefore, where's the fail? You haven't failed. And so it's that mindset and how we look at things. So when you think about mindset and how you look at things, obviously you had to make some changes for you to actually go forward and do it again, right? And do the podcast again. So was there a specific moment that made you think, damn, you know, I miss this version of me, Josh, that's editing podcasts, Josh, that's excited to have a recording session?
Yeah, I think that like just being involved in something that gets me excited is, and I know that's so simple, you know, like when you talk about like, how do you get happy? And sometimes you go, well, it's so easy to say that. It's easier said than done. Well, you know what? Sometimes you got to try. Sometimes you got to tell yourself like, okay, I'm feeling sad, but if I could just find a center focal point and happy, I could stay there for a little bit. And the longer I stay there, maybe I will find another piece that makes me happy, because I have found happiness in this place, but I still need to be happy somewhere else. It doesn't mean that you've moved on from that. It means that you've appreciated that. And I think the Humor Haunted Homicide is a piece I appreciate. And now I've learned to be able to find other meaning in the passion I created. And that passion was podcasting. And now I know that I wanted to get back into it because there's meaning here. The people that have heard us have been like, look, I understand what you're saying. I respect it. Or, you know, what you said makes sense. It's relatable. It's vulnerable. It's honest. Yeah, it could be dark, but you know what? Mental health isn't pretty. It's not sexy. This is real life. This is tough shit. If you're listening to this, just know that you're imperfect too, and you're still beautiful, and you still have a chance, and you still are worth it.
I think that, you know, it could be hard for anyone to be vulnerable because, like me, I'm really like anxious of people judging me, even though I have a podcast. So there's so many ways that people could judge me, because they could be like, "Oh, cringe," whatever. But like, it doesn't matter what other people say. It's what I say about myself. It's what I think about myself. Those are the things that project negativity. Those are kind of the balance of if you fail or don't fail, right? What are you saying about yourself? And my mom always says, like, choose how you want to feel. So what I want to feel is great. What I want to feel is successful. What I want to feel is joy. And also what I want to feel is pain, because sometimes you need pain to appreciate the joyful moments and to be grateful. And I really realized that there are areas where gratitude would have been something that would help me through. And I'm reading this book. It's called The Trance of Scarcity. And it talks about this continuous loop, right? And I'm going to get it actually.
Yeah.
And it's this like loop of
Who's it by?
not necessarily positivity, Victoria Castle.
Okay. Cool.
And I was at the pool the other day and I'm just like, okay, this, I don't know, it really had me thinking about some of the areas that maybe I was missing or not focused on. And that's why my behavior or things weren't changing, or I wasn't able to kind of get out of that loop. Or she calls it the circle, actually. So this is it.
Okay, so for those of us that are not watching, tell us what this is.
But I'm going to read it. So
okay,
the circle, and it's going this way, right? So clockwise.
Okay.
So generosity, giving, aligning, attracting, receiving, gratitude. And then that goes right back into generosity, giving. So when we have gratitude, we tend to be generous. When we are generous, we are giving. When we are giving, we are aligning with what we are supposed to be doing, with what we are supposed to be attracting. So then we start to receive, right? And that is the cycle of abundance. But that is not necessarily what we were taught. We were taught to hustle hard, fake it till you make it, grin and bear it. Nothing in that circle of abundance said any of that crazy hustle culture. It said to basically, I'm hearing, ground yourself, connect yourself with what is good. Connect yourself to what it is that you are grateful for. So I've focused putting my energy on, sticking to a schedule of joyful moments and paying attention to that. Like I've made my balcony my little witchy sanctuary, and I love it. So I love going out there. So I get a coffee and I go sit out there and I read a book. And this is the book I'm currently reading. Cute little bright orange book, and it says The Little Book of Joy for when life wants you to celebrate. And I thought that was beautiful. So it has a bunch of different quotes. One of my fave quotes so far is by Rumi. My nephew is named after Rumi. His middle name is Rumi, and he's my brother's favorite poet. So things are such that someone lifting a cup or watching the rain, petting a dog, or singing, just singing, could be doing as much for the universe as anyone else. So what you're doing, what you're creating, Josh, is doing something for the universe. That is how you do bring joy, by doing things that add to this universe, adding that energy to the world.
Now that I'm talking through this as well, I'm also wanting to write this now because people are so ready for some fun, because we are so sick of the shit going on in the world right now and what's life throwing at us. We're just sick of it. We're done with it. People are ready for a little bit of creative space and a place they can put their mind somewhere else that's safe. I feel like my characters are safe. Like, you're going to learn something. You're going to see yourself in those characters, whether it's the good, bad, or ugly. You're going to hopefully feel powerful, and you're going to also feel like you can try to put yourself in the mind of these characters and where they're going and where they want to be and what you would do in the event that you're them. I also think that there's a lot of identity in there. I always tell myself, like, it could be worse, and I know it's toxic positivity, but sometimes that gets me through.
I was just talking about that with some of the girls that I just recently met through Connected Conversations Supper Club, which is a supper club that I created for women to get to know each other in this area on actually like a more deeper, genuine level, to create real friendships. So we have really real conversations. And we were talking about how, sometimes we have to wear rose-colored glasses, no lies, see the truth, and remain ignorant by choice, because that is how you survive. And joy, finding joy in the moments, finding the silver lining, that is survival. And that's also your way to peace and thriving as well. So why not do that? What's wrong with that?
Nothing.
Be a little
Let yourself
toxic.
live it. Let yourself live it. Let yourself be it. Let yourself do it. And let yourself not give a fuck about what anyone thinks about what you're doing or how you're being creative or how you're having fun and living. If they don't like it, if they don't enjoy it, they don't have to watch, listen, be it, read it. They can fuck off, is what they can do. And I'm happy to be back, Tiff. This is fun. Gets a little shit off my shoulders. You get to embrace you're happy. We get to be creative.
I think also too, like today, sharing what we're doing, right? Like, I'm reading this book, and I would love for you guys to go check out this book again. It's called The Trance of Scarcity by Victoria Castle. And this other book, I love going to like cute little indie bookstores. So I went to Quail Ridge Bookstore in Raleigh, and that's where I picked this up. And it's just part of my morning ritual now. I take the dog for a walk. I go get my coffee. Me and the dog come back out. We go on the balcony. Unfortunately, she's still peeing up there. Oh, puppy mom is really, really hard. But anyway, I'm trying to figure it out, and I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to ace this shit. But anyways, and then I read something from here, and no scrolling, no being on my phone for the first 30 minutes of my day so that I can focus on that joy, so that I can tune everything out. And it's okay to tune things out. It's okay to be a little ignorant so that we can survive. You know, that's how we got to do things sometimes. And it just is what it is. Find your pocket of joy and let that be your pursuit of happiness. Pockets
And
of
we
joy.
want to know, what gives you pockets of joy? What gets you excited? What kind of creative space do you put yourself in? What would you do if you allowed yourself to actually do it? We want to know.
Like, comment, share, write to us, and tell us what are the things, what are the hobbies that you find joyful, that make you smile, that make you excited to wake up the next day and try it again. We want to hear from you. Thank you, as always, for listening and watching, liking, sharing, supporting. And also, I want to add, we got 500 plays. Woo! Forgot to add that part. So we, no more doubting ourselves. We're out here, we're doing it. This is just what we love. And we are courageous for doing what we love and going for it.
That's right. We do that shit. Everybody, thanks for listening. We love you. Goodbye. We're out.
Bye.